Hey everybody, Max here, and today we'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Battle Damage Spider-Man, part of the Magic the Gathering subline. I'm in the camp of just give me the figure. Maybe you're in the camp of just give me the card, but unfortunately you have to buy both. So if you are into Magic the Gathering and Marvel Legends, this is probably a very sweet package for you. So, and there's several other figures, and we'll talk a little bit about those too. So I just want the figure, had to buy both, but I got it on sale at Target, so that kind of eased some of the pain, I should say. So anyway, we'll do what we do, dive into the package. It is what it is, nothing really special. I do like the cityscape that's on the back, the liner inside there, artwork, really cool artwork on the actual card. And then here are all the figures in the wave. All of them look really cool. Manwolf is pretty cool. I don't really have a connection to that guy, but I do think he's cool. I have more of a connection to him than I do Agent Anti-Venom, which also looks cool. Don't plan on getting him. But Mary Jane is the Iron Spider. I quite like the look of that one. So I do like the articulation on these arms. I'm pretty sure these have been used before. I don't have that figure, but maybe I'll get her down the line. So there you go. Bigger artwork on the side, and that is the package. And we get that out of the way, and let's talk about the accessories. So, card first. Here is the Spectacular Spider-Man. Like I said, really cool artwork. Has some kind of a glossy coat to it, so kind of reflective. I know it's still in the package, obviously, but you can tell that there's some, there's some color changing effects going on here. The foil-ish, foil on the lenses and stuff. Pretty cool. I mean, if you're in the Magic the Gathering, you may really like this. From what I can tell, or from what I've been told, this may be the artwork may be unoriginal, like it's been used before, but maybe the stats are new, or maybe the stats are new and the artwork is, or maybe the stats are old and the artwork is new, or perhaps this is just a reissue of a card that has been off the market for quite a while, and maybe scalper prices have been ridiculous. So this may be an opportunity to get a card that collectors have really been seeking after. So anyway, that is the card. Let me know in the comments if you're into this and what the story may be on that. Comes with web shield. I do not have a figure. Have not gotten this accessory yet, so this is kind of cool. This silvery white plastic and lots of texture, if I could speak properly, and kind of a glittery kind of material too. There's a glitter to it. It doesn't have the like handhold peg like on Cap Shield, but it does have the C-clip, and it looks big enough or just the right size to slip onto his wrist, and it rotates a bit, and I don't think you'll have the trouble with Cap Shield or with these tabs that you may have with Cap Shield, the stress marks, and fits really well. So, and I like that it kind of floats around, has some variability to it, and he's gotten the snot kicked out of him, and he needs a little extra defense here. So there's that. So that's cool. And then there is the web line that we have seen a bazillion times before that nobody ever uses. It's too flexible. I mean, you probably could just put some floral wire around this if you wanted to use the handhold, but why not just use the white floral wire? That's what I use. So this is kind of worthless. Comes with a beat up Peter Parker face sculpt, and let me shift the light a little bit for you. Let me move that around. Thank you for your patience. And I have to say this is a really good head sculpt, and I do hope we see it again on future Peter Parker unmasked heads. Because, I mean, I really wish they had used this non-battered version on the Maximum Spider-Man figure. That would have been nice, because this is a really nice Peter Parker head sculpt. Yes, he's got a bloody red eye, he's split lip, scratches on his forehead and cheek, but he didn't mess his hair up. So that looks good, very good, and very well textured. The eyes turned out very well. Much better head sculpt than the Maximum Spider-Man Peter Parker. That one just looks creepy. This one is totally fine. So I do hope that we see an unblemished, unmarred version of Mr. Peter Parker in the future with that. And then we have our standard thwipping hands that we've seen a bazillion times, but that is fine because Spider-Man is, I mean, how could you not have whipping hands? So I actually like the fact that I have so many Spider-Man figures and so many whipping hands that I can give them to my Spider-Man 77 figure. Now he's also sporting the wall crawling hands. Now I don't think, as far as I can recall, the Nicholas Hammond TV show, he did not do the thwipping, which is actually the American Sign Language symbol for love. So he didn't do the love symbol on the show. He just kind of did his hand like that. So I was more interested in having some wall crawling hands. So these are the actual hands, and they match fairly well to the red on the, maybe a little darker red in the hands, a little lighter on the paint of the arm, but close enough for government work in my opinion. So wall crawling hands there. And then he has the two fists that are already on him. Okay, he may be knocked to his knees, but he is not defeated. He's still defiant. He also has toe articulation, and I quite like the fact that he comes with toe articulation. I wish all Spider-Man figures came with toe articulation because I might actually take the feet off and give it to Spider-Man 77. Now here the color does not match that well, but I just love the way he wall crawled in the TV show. So just a little throwback to that review. I did kind of tongue-in-cheek give him a warp factor of 10, and so I like the fact that this guy comes with a little extra something that I can pass along to my Spider-Man 77. So back to Battle Damaged. Let's look at the head sculpt. I get that some people are criticizing that there's not enough tears. They would have preferred seeing mouth, nose, that sort of thing. Maybe one of the lenses cracked, that sort of thing. That is probably more effort than Hasbro is willing to do, as evidenced by just having now this looks sculpted just having hair exposed, but it looks like it's sculpted. It's not just a hairpiece that was glued onto a retooled Spider-Man head. I do like the eyes. I do like these lenses. These are kind of my preference. And he's torn right here, but there's not a lot of definition, no red, no scratching or anything like that. But a customizer could just take a red marker and go whoop, and there you go. And he's got a cut on his cheek. So I guess it would have been nicer if perhaps the wounds, well, I guess they didn't really match up now, did they? So, but I would have preferred something like this head sculpt with a mask overlay kind of thing, so we could see a little bit more, maybe an open defying, like an open mouth, or gritting teeth, that sort of thing. That would have been nice. Painted web lines, they look okay. Not overly detailed, not overly webbed, but decent enough. Now, before I move down, I want to point out that, like other reviewers, this is by and large, the worst neck joint I have ever seen on a Marvel Legends figure. Just probably any figure. It is stiff as a board, and there's hardly any movement at all. I have already tried to heat this up to try and pop it out and trim it to do something to get a little more range of motion, and it just wouldn't come out. So I'm afraid I'm going to either damage the plastic in ways I can't fix, or I'm going to scratch off the web lines or something like that. So I'm afraid I'm kind of stuck. But while we're here, let's get the Peter Parker head on, and he looks really good. Maybe a little long in the neck, but that's as far down as he can look, and you can tell the gap from the neck peg. It's just awful. So, but maybe I just need to turn it around. Maybe that's something I can do. Maybe it's in the wrong orientation, and maybe that will improve it. But I haven't been able to get it to move at all. It's in there solid. So looks down that far, hardly any forward movement, and he looks up that far with this head, and that is that. So, but that's what he looks like with Peter's unmasked head. Nice to have that in the collection. And let's see, better articulation, better range of motion with the Spidey head, with the masked Spidey, but you still have this weird gap right there in the back. That always kind of bugs me for some reason. Just kind of breaks the illusion, I guess. But the paint on the web line's pretty good, you know, not too bad. You get some good texturing in the in the chest, in the arms, the scratches, the reds. I mean, this is sculpted on damage. This isn't just painted on damage. So I'm glad that they did that. There's some folds in the costume. And so this is the renew your vows body. I'll talk pretty one day. Renew your vows body, if I'm not mistaken. We just kind of retooled a little bit. And so I don't know. I don't have, well, the Iron Fist body is kind of a retooled Renew Your Vows as well. So I've got that. So it's pretty much the same. The butterfly joint is really good. This is one of the better butterflies of any Marvel Legends figure I have had. So I'm really glad for that. I just wish that was standard, and it turned out really well. It's not too loose, not too tight. You have a really good range of motion, almost a Y pose. Arms can go all the way around. We have a bicep swivel, and that is good. Bicep swivel over here. So on this arm, you see some folds, some scratches. They are sculpted in, some flesh tone paint. I would have liked to have seen some bruising or another little red streak, but that's something that you can do. And then let's see, that is painted on that side, and let's see that on the bicep there, that is actually sculpted in and then painted in. So let me see if I can get it. Nope, that's sculpted too. So I can get a fingernail in there. I feel it kind of sliding into the groove there, and so yeah. And then there's also more scratches, but no red, nothing there. So there's extra scratches in here, but they didn't fill them in. So I may ding it for that. We got double jointed pinless elbows. Okay, and then there we are. Really good range of motion. And let's get that. This one was this is actually the second one of these I've gotten. The first one was just garbage. And I'll get into what the garbage was, what the problem was here in a second. But pretty good range of motion in the elbows. And then good wrist articulation. Got the horizontal joint and the wrist go all the way around. Horizontal on the right and the left. And then some more rips in the fabric here. And that's also sculpted in. And no overspray on the flesh tone paint. So that's great to see. And then I know there's some glare, and I apologize. I like the spider logo. That turned out really well. We have the diaphragm cut, and then the inverted ab crunch, and he gets pretty good range of motion. He bends forward decently, a decent amount, and then goes inhumanly, I mean spine-breakingly backwards. But he's Spider-Man. He's superhuman. He can survive that. And let's see. Then side to side, pretty good. So yeah. So everything from the waist up is pretty good. And then the paint webs all the way around is fairly decent. So yeah. So from here up, this is kind of like the Daredevil Born Again figure. Like from the waist up, everything is fine except for this neck joint here. And then we come to the true problem. And let me get the arms out of the way. So we get really good splits, but the drop down hips are almost like they're not smooth. They're like a ratchet, and they just kind of, they don't come down smoothly. And I have seen videos of them being completely broken off because I think the ball pegs in the hip the pegs are probably too thick, or the hole in the upper hip is too small. Now I've actually gone ahead and added a little oil in there into that gap to kind of get it and just kind of worked it in to get a little more range of motion, because even after, well, the first one I heated up and it was trash. It actually ruined it. This one it's okay, but the plastic is just kind of, there's this kind of mottled color, It's just uneven, like it just, I don't know, there's just a variation in the blue. So yeah, I mean, it's okay, just kind of be aware that you may have to heat it up to get it to move in the hip. Otherwise, you run the risk of breaking the ball peg off, or put some oil in there. I may still take these legs off and sand down the ball pegs just so I don't have oil leaking out all over the place. But the biggest problem is in the right leg. And you can see it's just a little jagged, just a little janky. There's some gaps. You can see some daylight through the gap, and it doesn't want to move. It puts a lot of pressure. Trying to twist the thigh swivel puts a lot of pressure. I can feel it. Takes some effort. It's sticky, and I can feel it putting some pressure on the upper ball joint. So that's maybe another potential way it could break. And I'm willing to bet it has the same hip joints as the Daredevil Born Again, the She-Hulk, the Spider-Man Unlimited, probably the Punisher had the same issue. So I do not like the way they've redesigned these hips. They're not being very well executed, and that really kind of that's a seems to be a new issue. And then with this one, just kind of the rubbing. I don't know. This just kind of strange, just cheap feeling plastic right there. Um, So just kind of keep that in mind. I know that other reviewers have probably mentioned something very similar to that. So, and then we have this sculpted in tear and exposed flesh. And it's a little, I think there's a little bit of an overspray right there. You can kind of see a little bit of a shadow there. That's probably where it should probably still be blue, but it's colored flesh. And then there's also, it's kind of, I guess the texture, it just looks a little chewed up, almost like a bite. So the plastic just does not look very well formed right there, and even in the blue. And I can feel a difference in the texture. So, and then over here, sculpted tears, red scratches, and then here as well. And this one has what looks like other scratches in the, like they should have put some red and they didn't. Sculpted in tears, fabric, and then the hip or the boot swivel also has kind of the same gap right there too. So that's becoming a problem as well. Feet are okay, good range of motion in the toe and the ankle, and decent paint on the boots. More cuts, more rips in the fabric. Over here a little more. Exposed flesh. And there is that. Okay, so that, my friends, is Battle Damaged Spider-Man. He's about half he's half the man he used to be. He's kind of half what I would want him to be. If the hips were a lot better and the plastic in the legs was better, I would rate this higher. I was kind of in a bad mood when I did my Daredevil Born Again review, and I gave it a rating of 6, a warp factor of 6. Probably was a little too harsh on that one. I think warp factor of 7 is probably better for the Daredevil, and I think this one is, it's hard for me to say. This is really the hips and the legs and the quality of the plastic. This is really beginning to bother me, and it seems to be becoming an issue with Hasbro. I didn't even do the knees, so we had double jointed and kicks back fairly far. And there's no problem there. I don't have any problem there. So, yeah, I think I'll give this guy a warp factor of 7. And be on the lookout for an updated review of my Daredevil Born Again figure. I've done some modifications that have improved it, so I'll probably be doing a follow-up video. So just be on the lookout for that. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do so. I'm getting really close to 400 subscribers, and you could get me there, and I thank you for it. Also, hey, click the notification bell so that you know when one of my videos goes live. So I've got a lot in the pipeline, so be on the lookout for that. So got a few more G.I. Joe stuff, some NECA stuff, and some more Marvel Legends stuff. So thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.